How are all of you? So welcome, I'm back again with a new chapter for class 8, some natural phenomena. So I hope you are liking my motivational videos and do look into the motivational videos as well. I was a little busy, so there was a small delay. Sorry for that. And one more thing I want to just tell you students that so the chapters will continue. Don't worry that if there is a gap of 2 or 3 days or 4 days, definitely something or the other will come to you for classes 6, 7, 8. That never stops. And all my viewers, some motivational videos as well as a management concept video is also about to come very soon, and how you can increase your business. So that's just in the pipeline. Most probably by 15 or 16 I will finalize it. So now herein I just want to tell the students of class 8 and 6, 7, 8 that in these concepts which you see here, particularly for science, I would request you to actually go through the concepts. Watch the video once or maybe watch it twice next week. See, you already have questions here in the PDF, so you can always, in the descriptive link, you can follow the questions and answers as well. That will be handy for you in the exams. But even if you have not studied your chapter thoroughly, you can just go through the concepts with me and at least know the chapter. When you know the chapter, then you know everything. So I always advise that you already have question and answers with me through the PDF. So why not go through the concepts at least once in the video, right? So that is something very important. Okay. So now let's get started. So some natural phenomena. Here we will discuss about lightning, earthquakes, and we will discuss about charges. So let's continue now. So here we see some objects get charged on rubbing against each other. There are two kinds of charges, positive charge and negative charge. So this is the symbol, positive and negative. Example, rubbing a balloon on dry hair will charge both the balloon and the hair. Okay, so you must observe when you rub the balloon on your dry hair, you can stick the balloon to the wall. So that because both the objects get charged. Charges can be unlike and like. Like charges are same charges, like positive and negative and negative. These are like charges. And like charges always repel. Just this is a law. Like charges will repel. Unlike charges are positive and negative. So they will attract. They will attract. So this is what we'll understand over here. So rubbing a balloon on dry hair will charge both the balloon and the hair. The objects, why they? Because the balloon and hair are two different items. When they are two different items, then charges are unlike. Charges are unlike. That's why they will. You can then stick the balloon to the wall even. The charges will attract each other. So this is how the two objects will get charged, positive and negative, right? So the objects charged are called charged objects. The electrical charges produced by rubbing are called static charges. So basically, these electrical charges are not very strong that they can produce an electric current. So unlike in electric current, the charges are very strong and the ions move, and basically not the charges but the ions move, and it's got a power to produce an electric current. These electric charges do not have, when you rub against each other, rub these two objects, and the charges are not very strong. So these electrical charges on rubbing are called static charges. Now let's understand why they are called static charges. These are called static charges because they do not move. They do not move by themselves. When charges move, they constitute an electric current. So only when the charges move and they produce an electric current which allows the bulb to glow. So the glow of electric bulb in a closed circuit is because of electric current. So electric current because the ions start moving and the charges are very strong. So when you rub some two objects, like in this case, some charges are static charges, so they're not very strong enough, they don't move, that's why static. So they do not produce electric current. Just remember that static charges do not produce an electric current because that's why they are called static, because they don't move. Okay? This electric current is due to motion of charges, right? So let's see, balloon, dry hair, rub, charges are static. Motion of charges, when there is a motion of charges, then electric current is produced which allows a bulb to glow. Okay? It is observed that a charged balloon repelled a charged balloon. That's what I was telling you. Same kind of items. Two balloons. When you rub against each other, two balloons, the charges are like charges. So basically, they will repel or diverge. A charged refill of a pen repelled a charged refill, but a charged balloon attracted a charged refill. Right? So two different items. So basically, they attracted each other, unlike charges. So this means charges are of two kinds, positive and negative, right? Like in a dry cell, you see positive and negative charge. So charges are of two kinds, positive and negative. This is how you relate positive and negative. Charges of the same kind are called like charges. Charges of the same kind are called like charges. So like positive or negative. So these are like charges. So they will repel. While charges of a different kind, when the charges of a different kind, like balloon and refill, pen refill, when they rub, they will attract each other because they are of different items. Okay. I hope all this is clear till now. So we now move further. A device called an electroscope is used to detect whether a body is charged or not. What is an electroscope? It is a simple device to detect whether the body is charged or not. Okay. Electric charge can be transferred from a charged object to another. So when there is one object which is charged, then this charged object can transfer charges to another object if through a metal conductor. So let's understand through a diagram. Now there are two diagrams, 1 and 2. In this diagram, we see a refill. Also here there is a refill, which is of a metal. Suppose these are all positive charges. Suppose in both these diagrams, so we have positive charge in the refill. Now through this, this is a jar. Inside the jar, there is a paper strip, paper strip is tied to the refill, and we have a hanging aluminum strips to the paper strip. Right? Here we have plastic strips. This is metal. This is a non-metal. This is a non-conductor, a plastic strip. So what happens? We see that there is a divergence in the aluminum strips. What is divergence? When the rods diverge, which means they repel. They are not moving again. They are not moving close to each other. They are diverging. So why they repel? Because they are like charges. So positive charge here, positive charge here. Metal and metal, both are same kind of material. So both are like charges, positive and positive. So they will repel. Now what happens? In diagram 1, if you touch paper clip with a hand, suppose now you touch this paper clip with a hand. So what happens? Discharge takes place. Discharge means the charges become opposite. So here there was a like charge, it will become unlike charge. It will be negative over here, which means it didn't get transferred because your hand, you touch the paper clip and the charge could not transfer. When the charge could not transfer to the aluminum strip, it discharged. So that's what you remember. It got discharged, which means things got opposite. So it was a positive over here. It became negative. So basically, they attracted or they converged. So they did not diverge. It converged or attracted. So that's in the case of discharge when you actually touch the paper strip. Okay. Fine. Till now it's clear. On the second diagram here, same thing. We have plastic strips and we have metal here. So this is not a metal, this is a metal, a pen refill. So what happens here? When the charges move, it will be different. It will be positive and negative. Why? Because these are different materials. This is a refill, which is a metal. This is a plastic, which is non-metal. Different kind of material. So charges will be unlike or different, which is positive and negative. So they will attract. So there will be no divergence. So they will not repel. They will not diverge. Simple. There will be no divergence. So this is just a diagram to show you that aluminum strips will diverge and plastic strip will not diverge. Okay. So till now after it's clear, we just proceed further now. The sixth point is the process of transfer of charge from a charged body to the earth is called earthing. Okay. The strips collapsed, converged and did not diverge because when you touch with hands, the foil strips lose charge to the earth by your hands and discharged. Basically, they are telling about the electrical discharge. So when you touch the paper strips by your hand, the aluminum strips, you remember. So what happened? They would discharge. The charges will not flow, and instead of diverging, they will collapse. Right. So this is called discharge. The foil strips lose charge to the earth by your touch. Right. So there is also the concept of earthing, which is transfer of charge from a charged body to the earth. So whenever some charges go to the earth, it gets neutralized. That's called earthing, right? So this is what it says here. So the foil strips, the aluminum strips, lose charge to the earth by your hands and discharge. So don't touch the paper strip by your hands. If you do it, then it will discharge and it will neutralize, and then it will not diverge. Okay. Earthing is provided in buildings to protect us from electrical shocks due to any leakage of electrical current. Right. So building or house, and you see this is a lightning conductor. Basically, in the buildings, this lightning conductor is a metal conductor. It goes from within the building, and then it goes till the ground, right? So there's a copper plate here, and so basically whenever there's a lightning, if a lightning strikes, it can damage life and property. It can damage a building. So there's always a lightning conductor there, because what happens when current passes, then it goes to the earth. Ground means earthing. So the same, it gets discharged. So the lightning conductor concept is the same thing, right? So we'll just know more on this. The lightning conductor basically, so here also there's a point in lightning conductor, I'll tell you. So till now it is to protect us from electrical shocks due to any leakage of electric current. That's called earthing. And it will protect the building from lightning, okay? The story of lightning. So during the development of a thunderstorm, when a thunderstorm develops, after rain, before rain, there is a thunderstorm, right? So during the development of a thunderstorm, the air current move upwards. What happens? The air current move upwards, while the water droplets move downwards. So basically, what happens? A thunderstorm is building up, rain is about to come, so water droplets will move down, and the air will move up. So the vigorous movement cause separation of charges. So now this movement which is there will cause separation of charges. Now let's see how. The positive charge near the upper edges of the cloud. So these, now you see this diagram, this is the ground, this is the lower cloud, this is the upper cloud. Now there is a vigorous movement within the clouds. So in the upper clouds you have positive charge, in the lower clouds you have negative charge. Now negative will go to the positive and positive will go towards the negative. So the positive charge near the upper edges of the cloud, while a negative charges accumulate near the lower edges. So this is how it happens. The vigorous movement of charges happens this way. So what it mentions here, that the positive charge near the upper edges of the cloud, positive charges over here and negative charges in the lower clouds, right? So there is a movement between the charges. When the magnitude, what is magnitude? Intensity. When the magnitude of the accumulated charges become very large, when there's so much of charges being built up in the upper clouds and lower clouds, which is the intensity, that is called magnitude, become very large, the air, which is normally a poor conductor of electricity, is no longer able to resist their flow. So it's all in the air. Air is a bad conductor of electricity, so it is not able to resist this accumulation of charges. So what happens? Air, which is normally a poor conductor of electricity, is no longer able to resist their flow, right? So it is not able to resist their flow. So it will, what happens? It will, positive and negative charges. So positive and negative charges will meet. So when they meet, because this is, I have shown the movement, they meeting, because atmosphere air cannot actually stop the accumulation of charges. So what happens? Positive will go towards negative, negative will go towards positive, attract. So whenever that happens, there is a streak of bright light and sound. That's what happens, wonderful experience. Bright light and sound. It's so deadly harsh, when thunderstorm happens. Sometimes, it's so loud. So this is bright light and sound, right? So this process is called an electric discharge. Not like, in the past years and years back in India, the traditions, we had a lot of suspicion. Oh, this is a godly's, it's some god's, a bad omen. It's nothing like that. It's all science, right? So this is because of this excellent phenomenon of science. This happens. The charges are getting accumulated in this area. Air is not able to hold that. So upper clouds, which are positively charged goes down, lower clouds which are negatively charged goes up. So there is a flow of charges which the air is not able to resist. So ultimately they collapse in each other and there is a bright light and sound. This process is called electric discharge. This process is called electric discharge, and that produces lightning. Okay, so this is what is lightning. So the process of electric discharge between clouds and earth and between different clouds. Either they can be different clouds, upper clouds and lower clouds, or it can be between the ground and the cloud, right? So the process of electric discharge between clouds and earth and between different clouds is the cause of lightning. This is the reason of lightning. Basically, lightning has to do with electric discharge, right? So lightning conductor, as in the diagram above, you see this lightning conductor, building or house. Okay, so lightning conductor, as in diagram above, is a device used to protect buildings from the effect of lightning. It is a device used to protect the building from the effect of lightning. One end of the rod is in the air. This is in the air, right? So this is free in the air, like this, in the air, right? So one end of the rod is in the air and the other end is in the ground. Okay, students, this is in the ground. So this is the earthing concept. Earth, it neutralizes, electrical discharge will happen. So other buried and deep in the ground. The rod gives easy route to the rod provides easy route for the transfer of electric charge to the ground. So basically, this is what happens in lightning conductor. Easy route to the ground. Basically the earthing concept. So electrical discharge is happening, and lightning conductor will actually protect your building from the effects of lightning. So your building will not damage. Okay. So now let's move further. Start again. Further, now the 11th point, earthquake. So we start with earthquake now. So students, earthquake is one such a natural phenomena which we are not able to predict accurately. So we can't predict when the next earthquake will come. Okay, so that is important here. It can cause damage to life and property on a huge scale. Some major earthquakes in India are, so there are two major earthquakes in India which had happened in the past. One is in Bhuj, Gujarat, on 26th Jan, the Republic Day, in 2001, and Uri and Tangadhar. These are two places, Uri and Tangadhar in North Kashmir. So in 2005 October. So this can be a short answer question. Okay. We move further. Earthquake. Now, what is an earthquake? It is a sudden shaking or trembling, or it is a sudden shaking and trembling of earth. So basically, it is a trembling of earth, right? So when there is an earthquake, the whole ground or earth shakes. It is due to the disturbance deep inside the earth's crust. Now, therefore, the earth's crust, the outermost layer of the earth is the earth's crust. So this trembling or shaking happens in the earth's crust, okay, which is the outermost layer. They occur at all times. They occur at all times, all over the earth. So there is no one particular place on earth. It can be anywhere and it occurs at all times. So the major earthquakes are much less frequent. So these disturbances are continuous. So sometimes the intensity is so less that we don't feel it. But they are happening every time, everywhere on earth. So major earthquakes are much less frequent. So now the major earthquakes are less frequent, and those are the earthquakes which we feel, right? Because the tremors are they give you such a big jolt. So those are the earthquakes actually. So major earthquakes are much less frequent. They are not very much. They are less frequent in number. However, they can cause a great extent. They can cause a great extent of damage to life and property, right? So that's quite obvious. So if the intensity of the earthquake is major, it will be less frequent, and definitely it will cause damage to life and property. So they can also cause three things: floods, tsunami, and landslides. These three things also are effect of earthquake. Now we move further. Earthquakes tend to occur at the boundaries of the Earth's plates, right? So first of all, it is at the Earth's crust, and Earth's crust has got boundaries, boundaries or the corners. So at the boundaries of the Earth's plates are the places where the earthquakes will occur. These boundaries are fault zones. So for this is a very important point, just from one single point. These are called fault zones. So what are the fault zones? Fault zones are the boundaries of the Earth's plate. Just remember that. And in the Earth's plate, earthquakes occur. Now, what actually happens then? We'll discuss this in movement of Earth's plates. So as we know that in the fault zones, where there are Earth plates, these plates are not static; they are moving all the time. So that is why, as the Earth's crust, Earth's plates are moving, earthquake can occur at any place, anytime, any place on Earth, right? So now, the outermost layer of Earth is called the crust. Is not continuous. Okay, it's not a continuous thing. It is fragmented. So what is the meaning of fragmented? It is in pieces. It is not a continuous layer. So it is not continuous. So the crust is fragmented or not in one piece. So it is not in one piece, right? So each fragment is called a plate. Now you understand where does the earthquake occur? At the Earth's plate. And what's an earth plate? Earth plate is the part of the crust which is fragmented because which is not in one piece. So basically a lot of plates together will make the crust. This is how you will understand. So each fragment is called a plate. So Earth crust is not continuous, it is fragmented, it is making it is in one, it is not in one piece, it is fragmented, and each fragment is a plate. Now these plates are moving. So these plates are in continual motion. When they brush past against one another. So when they actually brush past against one another. So like these are two plates, right? Or this one plate, this another plate below. So they are moving and then they rub against each other, right? So that's how when they brush past against one another due to collision, definitely they cause disturbance in the Earth's crust. So this disturbance in the Earth's crust happens because of the collision, because the plates rub against each other, because they are in continual motion, right? And when this happens, it is this disturbance that shows up as an earthquake. It is this disturbance that shows up as an earthquake. So earthquake is not is very scientific and it is very simple, that the plates are moving and Earth's crust is made up of plates. What are the plates? Plates are fragmented parts of the crust, because crust is not in one piece. It is not continuous. It is in fragments. Each fragment is a plate. These plates are in continual motion, and when they are in continual motion, they rub against each other, and because of this continual motion and they rubbing against each other, this disturbance which is caused is the cause of earth in the Earth's crust is the cause of earthquake, right? So it is this disturbance that shows up as an earthquake, right? So though we know its cause, we know the cause. I told you the cause. This is the reason. We still don't know where it might occur, right? So this is one thing. Scientists still are not able to know when and where will the next earthquake occur. Though we can know the cause of it, right? Okay, let's move further now. Quite interesting, earthquakes. So now, intensity of an earthquake. What is intensity? It is the effect or the magnitude, right? So intensity is the magnitude. So this says a destructive energy or the intensity of an earthquake. Intensity of an earthquake is measured in the Richter scale. R-I-C-H-T-E-R, Richter scale. What is Richter scale? It tells you the intensity or the magnitude of the earthquake. The intensity of 7 or more on Richter scale is a major earthquake. The one at Bhuj in Gujarat and in North America, I told you the Uri and Tangadar, these in North America, they were major earthquakes. And North Kashmir had an intensity of 7.5 on Richter scale, which is enormous. So it caused severe damage to life and property and is recorded in history. So there are very few, as I told you, the earthquakes which are major, are much less frequent. So definitely they will be in records in the history of natural phenomena. Otherwise, earthquakes do happen every time, and most of them are very mild, and we don't feel that. So they are not major ones, but the major ones are less frequent. This is the map of the earthquake. So you see, this is the ground soil, and this is the focus. So deep down the ground, there is a focus, and now straight from the focus to the ground, the perpendicular line which we draw is the epicenter. First, somewhere deep in the ground, you have focus. Focus is where the earthquake originates, and epicenter is the place on the ground where the maximum effect of the earthquake is to be felt. Maximum effect, maximum, because this is actually inside the earth, focus. But if it goes straight up, perpendicular from the focus to the ground. So where that ground is, that is called the epicenter. Therein the maximum effect of the earthquake will be felt. Focus is deep inside the earth, from where the earthquake actually originates. So where the where the continual movement of the plates happened. So that's where the focus is, right? So this is a diagram of the earthquake, right? Now, protection against earthquakes. Central Building Research Institute in Roorkee. Roorkee is in UP. There is also an IIT in Roorkee, right? IIT. So that's in Roorkee, which is in UP, Uttar Pradesh. So this can be a 1 mark question. Central Building Research Institute in Roorkee has developed the how to make quake resistant houses. So this was in this. Some things left on how we can, what is a seismograph, we'll just discuss further, and what are the do's and don'ts in an earthquake. That's the last part of this chapter left. So let's continue further now. So the 18th point now is Richter scale and seismograph, right? So like many other scales, Richter scale is not linear. So let's understand what it is. This means that the earthquake of magnitude 6 does not have 1.5 times the destructive energy or the intensity of an earthquake with a magnitude of 4. So if there is 6 and there is 4, there are two magnitudes of earthquakes. So it is not in a linear fashion. So let's understand what it means. Definitely the intensity of this one is lesser than the intensity of this one, but it will not be like 1.5 times or 2 times. There is a big difference. After every one which we go up on the magnitude, there is a big difference. And let's see this difference. In fact, on increase of 2 in magnitude means 1,000 times more destructive energy. Therefore, 6 on the Richter scale is 1,000 times more destructive energy released than as compared to 4. So this is the thing on Richter scale. It is not linear, right? So even if you move 1 or 2 points up, there is a big difference. If you move from 4 to 6 on the Richter scale, it is 1,000 times more destructive energy. So the intensity of 6 will be definitely much more powerful than 4. Okay. Now, so Richter scale measures the magnitude of the earthquake, of an earthquake. Tremors are, the shaking effect. Tremors produce waves on the surface of earth. These are called seismic waves. Okay, these are called seismic waves. The waves are recorded by an instrument called a seismograph. So the waves are recorded by an instrument called a seismograph. The instrument is simply a vibrating rod or a pendulum which starts vibrating when tremors occur. So the seismograph has a vibrating rod which starts vibrating when the tremors occur. Okay. A pen is attached to the vibrating system. The pen records the seismic waves on paper, which moves under it. Right. So pen below the pen there is a paper, and as the pen moves by the tremors, it records the seismic waves on paper. Right. So the complete map of the earthquake can be constructed. I showed you in the previous slide on some of the points of the map of the earthquake. So the complete map of the earthquake can be constructed. So you have the focus, you have the epicenter, right? So that's basically the map of the earthquake. Now the structure of earthquake safe building. First, consult a qualified architect and structural engineers. That's the first point. Second, in highly seismic areas are where there are zones wherein the intensity of earthquake will be major in most cases. So like Bhuj and in North Kashmir. So these areas are highly seismic zones. So where there are fault zones, those areas are seismic zones. Okay. So the use of mud and timber is better than using heavy construction materials. So for quite obvious reasons, mud houses and timber houses are very light in weight, and if they shatter or if they fall, the impact on life and property is less. So you can use these material for construction. Cupboards and shelves are fixed to the walls so that they do not fall easily. Right, that's the third point. And fourth, be careful where you have wall clocks and photo frames so that they do not fall on people. So just a small diagram. This is a table, and this table on the wall next to the wall 2. Next to wall 1, there is clock, photo frame, everything. So, but you should have one wall wherein a big table is kept and nothing over the table, so that in case there is an earthquake, you have one place in your home or in your room which has a big table, so that all of you or all of the members or whosoever there is in the room at that time can just rush and go beneath the table, and a whole lot of protection is there if you go underneath a big table. Table should be sturdy, good enough, but then that's the best way, right, to protect yourself, because you have to protect your head. That is the most important. Okay, now what is left? Fifth is the tall buildings. Tall buildings have firefighting equipments, as in the event of an earthquake, the building may catch fire. So there is quite a possibility that the building may catch fire in the event of an earthquake. So tall buildings should have a firefighting equipments, which they normally have. So these are the points for the structure of a quake safe building. Now, last point, how to protect yourself when you are at home and when you are outdoors. When you are at home, take shelter under table till shaking stops, as I mentioned to you. Second, stay away from tall and heavy objects like trees or maybe heavy equipments that may fall on you. So it can be tree or it can be any tall building. So stay away from those tall structures. Third, if you are in bed, do not. This is important. If you are in bed, stay there and protect your head with a pillow till the shaking stops, right? So just be on the bed. Now, if you're outdoors, find a clear spot away from buildings. Definitely, you don't have to be next to a close tall building. So just stay away from those spots. Find a clear spot. Best is to go in a park if you see a park, or if there are no trees around, or any open space, right? So a clear spot is important. And then away from tall heavy objects, right? And third is, if a car or a bus, if you're in a car or a bus, tell the driver to drive at safe place, right? To a clear spot again, and slowly till the tremors stop. And he should drive slowly because it's already tremors are being felt and the whole ground is shaking, and the ground may fall inside, right? So your car should not be at a high speed so that the driver can lose control. So just drive slowly to a clear spot. So that's very important, and do not come out of the car. So this was the whole chapter, some natural phenomena, complete now. As I mentioned to you, do study the concepts. That's very important for you, and you already have question and answers in the PDF format. You always get there are 40 questions, I think, in the PDF, so you will have plenty of questions and answers. But I always advise that you study these concepts. The concepts are basically the whole chapter. So this might take 20-25 minutes or at the max 30 minutes, and you can go through this. A whole revision of your chapter happens. Also, you may again revise next week. So this is the best way. Questions and answers, you already get it. So that always you have with you for your examinations, which I send you every time. But do not forget to go through the concepts and go through this through the notes which I mentioned over here, which is the complete chapter here. Okay, so I hope you like this chapter, and if you like it, give a like, and you do enjoy. And one important note here, that Score is happy to announce that in April onwards, most probably by 5th or 10th April, we will be starting offline classes. We'll take care of all the precautions. I hope the pandemic would be the situation will get far better then. But we just have intake of 10 students for each subject, maths and science, and for each class. So if maths 10 students and science 10 students, so 20, and that's for each class 6, 7, 8. So because of social distancing norms have to be maintained, and definitely maths will be compulsory. So we'll see how it goes. Till meantime, we just can refer to one of the videos before this one, which was basically Score More is happy to announce. That's the video. You can have all the details there, and parents can send their enrollments, which will be open till March 25th. So I hope you are having a good time, and you do enjoy the festival coming near for tomorrow, and happy Makar Sankranti to all, and you stay fit and always keep smiling. Bye bye.